about the one-room school. She taught in a one-room school, and her sister did too.
Well, I'll just tell you some of my experiences.
You want to stand up there?
Or do you want to sit?
What do you want to do?
You want to just
So I can turn around.
You want to just pull your chair out?
Chair. We could just put
I might not ever get back up.
well, you just sit there for the rest of the program.
I graduated from Eudora High School in 1939. My maiden name was Jean Williamson. My sister Lois, she graduated in 37 from Eudora, so she went 1 year to KU and then summer school at Emporia State Teachers. So she earned a 3-year teaching certificate. And at that time, there was a shortage of rural school teachers. So she got a job at Hopewell School in Johnson County. And Eugene and Maxine Westerhouse was one of her students, 2 of her students. So then after that, my turn, so I went to Emporia State, and I received my 3-year teaching certificate. Then I had to look for a country school that had a teacher's vacancy. My sister drove a black Model A coupe so she could stay at our parents' home and drove from there. I found that Pleasant Oak School had a vacancy. The school was located 3 miles south and then back west from the Hopewell School. So then my sister and I could use 1 car. After I was hired, I found I had 6 pupils, 1 in each grade, 2nd through 7th, 5 girls and 1 boy. So we didn't have any electricity, but I was used to that because we didn't have electricity at home. The school was the only building on that mile except 1 house at the far east side of the mile. The school had a foyer where the students hung their coats and hats and boots. Inside was a teacher's desk, a handbell that you rang to start school, and also to come in from recess. The school desks ranged in size to the pupil's height. There was a recitation bench in front of the teacher's desk, blackboards on the wall, chalk and erasers. At last recess, pupils took their turns going out to dust their erasers. So we also had a Webster dictionary and various wall maps of different countries. We also had library books at various reading levels. In good weather, the American flag was always flown. Fresh water from the well was pumped and put in a big crock container with a lid and spigot that pupils could get a drink of water with their own cup. I did not realize all the jobs I had to do besides teaching. I had to be a janitor and also start the fire. There was a big furnace-like stove in the northwest corner of the school with a metal covering around so that the pupils would not get burnt. I had never started a fire from scratch because my father always did that at home. So he had to show me all the things I needed to know to get fire started. I found out that all they burned was wood, no coal, because wood was plentiful there. The wood was piled on the northwest side of the school. I always saw that I had a good supply of corn cobs, which I would soak in kerosene, and had a good supply of matches and newspapers to start the fire. Sometimes when the wood was a little soaked, well then it would smolder and smoke before it ever really got started. So that sometimes the school was good and toasty by the time we went home. If I could just have had a little coal, I could have banked the fire and had a few live coals the next day. Sometimes when it was real cold, we would sit around the stove and recite our lessons. Everyone brought their own lunch in their little metal lunch boxes. There was always a piano. I guess they thought every teacher could play the piano. Well, I could play with my right hand, but my left hand didn't want to go. But thank goodness my sister played the piano, and of course they always expect you to have a big school program. So my sister always came in and played for that. And so it was kind of hard to have a program with just 6 kids. But we had singing, and then we had a few recitations and a little skits. And so the women brought homemade pies and had coffee, and then they sold them for a little fundraiser. I don't remember what we used it for, and they also had cakewalks and sold chances on that. In the first part of the teaching year, the country superintendent always came, and his name was Harold Fisher. And he would sit in the back and listen to the pupils create their lessons, recite their lessons. I never did know how he rated us. He was a nice, pleasant man. Most of the superintendents were former teachers. School started at 9 o'clock, opening exercises, and we had a flag salute, a little singing, maybe a little story. I can't remember for sure. Reading was always first. While I had recitation from each class, they would come up front and recite their lessons, and other people were supposed to be doing their own assignments. So at 10:30, there was a 15-minute recess where the children took a bathroom break and a water break. So the boys and girls bathroom was on the north side of the school, boys on the west and girls on the east. Sometimes the pupil had to go in between breaks, so they always raised their hand for permission. If they wanted help with their lessons, they would raise their hand also. And after the first recess, we always had a arithmetic. At 12 o'clock, we had a 1-hour lunch, and on the playgrounds, we used to have teeter-totters, swings, basketball goals, and also baseball and bat. We also played various other games as tag and so on. So then they'd have a 10-minute warning bell, so everybody had to be in their seats by 1 o'clock. Then we had English and spelling and other things, and then at 2:30 to 15 till 3 we had another recess. And then after that we had writing and other things, geography, history, civil government, agriculture, physiology. But of course we didn't have all those every day, but I have kind of don't remember what all we had and when we had that. So at 4 o'clock, everyone wrapped out the door for home, but most of them walked to school. Every month you had to pass out the monthly report cards. You gave them their grades, 5-point system, A, B, C, D, and F. Also noted on the cards were how many days were taught, how many days were absent, if any, and also if they were tardy, and also deportment. That's when you got graded if you were quiet in school or if you were kind of naughty. So so anyway, let's see if I got all that. All country schools were 8 months. Always had last day of school with a dinner, and then report cards were passed out. The certification of the promotion was at the bottom of the grade card, your name and what grade you were promoted to for the next year, and date and year and teacher signature. There were 3 members on the school board, director, clerk, and treasurer. Every month I had to go to the treasurer's house to get my check. The next year they hired me back. I then had a 1st grader and then an 8th grader. I followed the same routine. Lois taught 2 years at Hopewell, and then she got a job at the school called Roscoe. She and I could still use the same car and live at home. I got $50 a month first year and was raised to $55 the second year. At that time, I don't remember correctly, but I don't think that women were supposed to be married. So I decided I would get married to Paul Gabriel and be a farmer's wife, and we married May the 2nd, 1942, and lived on the same farm till Paul passed in 2003. And by the way, my sister married 1 week before I did. So then we always give these little souvenirs out.
That was at graduation, wasn't it?
Well, no, to everybody in the school.
Oh, at the end of the
That one.
year.
Mhm. Got.
Okay, well, thank you,
Now,
Dee.
see if I can get